Hey everyone, welcome back to Spark Planner Life. I'm cozy mystery author Courtney Flagg, and today we are doing another episode of Preptober, and this is all about premise. So when we are talking about the outlining step in our three-step plan of the Trellis Method, we are talking about premise. And what I didn't know is that a book idea and a premise are different. And I want to talk to you about what the differences are and what needs to be included in your premise. So, what we are talking about is a book idea, which is more or less a concept, which is the basis of your novel. This goes into a lot of those who, what, when, why questions. So let's say, what if, for example, we're going to do an example is what I'm working on for NaNoWriMo is a Valentine's Day cozy mystery. So what if chocolate was poisoned and it got distributed to all of the local shops? So that's a book idea. However, the premise is more or less one sentence that combines your character, your theme, any plot, symbols, events, any of those more, I'd say, nitty-gritty aspects is what your premise is. And so when you are starting we're in the outlining stage, so we're going over genre, premise, characters, and plot. You need to think about what your premise is, and this is also more your selling point. So this could be helpful when you are creating your book blurb. So for premise, you need to make sure you include some form of an action, an outcome, an effect, and characters. So when we're talking, here's an example of Star Wars. This is from John Truby, which is the author of Anatomy of a Story. So for Star Wars, his example is, when a princess falls into mortal danger, a young man uses his skills as a fighter to save her and defeat the evil forces of a galactic empire. So, what is the first part is the effect. So, when a princess falls into mortal danger. Then the second part is a young man, which is character. Then we're moving into action. He uses his skills as a fighter. And then the outcome is to save her and defeat the evil forces of a galactic empire. That's the premise of Star Wars. So it is one sentence. It's a long sentence, but it's one sentence, and it is your higher concept, your catchy one-line description that you want to know more about Star Wars. So you are going to watch that movie. So we are going to move over to my desk, and I am going to write out my premise for my Valentine's Day themed cozy mystery. We are here, and I have my genre questions written out, and now it's time to go over the things to think about on premise. It is actually a very light blue color, and it's not showing quite up on the screen, but I have things written. So basically, right, as I talked about, a premise is more than just an idea. So we need to develop how this story could work. If there's a market for it, would readers like it? And so what I'm going to do is go through each of these. They're under different categories. So we have the killer concept, which is like book ideas that I like and ones that I didn't. And why is that? Then we could do, got to evaluate the quality of your listed story premises. So does it make sense, not make sense? Then there's a storyteller approach, which goes over how you could tell the story and what the narrative will convey. And then identify the lead character, the opposing character as well. Moral choices. So you always got to have something in that. And then an appeal if there's an appeal to it. So I have all of those kind of written down. And what we're going to pull up is that essentially that template for the premise, and then we're going to go through these questions. So let me pull that up and I can write out my premise. So what I need to include is an action, outcome, effect, and character. With this being a Valentine's Day book, I want something to deal with a sweethearts showdown. So some type of competition. Of course, there needs to be a chocolate. We have Emma, our main character, and I'm trying to think what else should be part of it. So looking back at the infographic here, we could start with the character or not. So we're going to do that. So we're going to say a festive chocolatier is prepping for the sweetheart showdown. So that is the action. So we have character, we have our action. So now we have outcome and effect. So Total for prevention uses her sleuthing skills to apprehend the killer. That was, let's say, trying to stop the showdown. It's not perfect, but it gives an idea of what the story's about, right? This is your premise. So what I need to do is go through all these questions and see where this premise could be updated, and if the idea is good, which, I mean, I'm already going to do this story, so it's already happening, but what you would do is go through each of these steps before you even start writing the story. But that is kind of the basics of premise. So let's do a few questions. We're going to skip these first ones because it's just about what books and films I like. Okay, so here. Will this story premise confuse readers with the required number of interesting, relatable characters? I would probably say no. There's main is one main character. So I think that's okay. Story world, will the story premise allow building a believable, interesting story world? Yes. The setting fits. Right? Because we're talking about a sweetheart showdown, which is on Valentine's Day, chocolates, kind of all makes sense. Based on this story premise, can you envision how the main character will transform, and will readers find that change meaningful? So with this, so she'll need to step up. And need to speak up. Because, right, Emma is, I'd say, more reserved compared to her younger sister. So this one, she'll have to kind of speak out because it's a showdown, right? And then can you make the theme message come through to the readers without sounding preachy? Yes, it'll be essentially justice, good versus evil. There'll be community. It stands together. And then are there enough details without an info dump in the delivery of the premise? So I would say it could be more detailed. But I will continue finishing these questions, and then after premise, I believe we move on to characters, and that one has a lot. Characters is, I would say, a part that I struggle with in the story. My character is very one dimension, which it's hard because I write in a series, so you have to think of their arc over the series as well as in each individual book. But I'm excited to kind of learn more about character and how I could continue using this Trellis method to plan out my upcoming story. So that's it for now, and until my next video, hope you guys are having a great Preptober and your creative thoughts are flowing and getting ready to write your story. Bye.